Texas high school football is nigh upon us, which means that we are ready for one of what has become one of Texas high school football's great traditions.
Oh, yeah.
To kick off the season.
Synonymous with the kickoff.
The Tom Landry Classic. Here to talk about the 2017 edition of the Tom Landry Classic is the executive director. It is Kris Cumnock. Appreciate you taking a little bit of time to chat with us.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on.
So,
Always fun.
So what year is this for the Classic?
This is 18.
18.
Unreal.
And every year, I think your biggest challenge every year, this is just me talking, is one-upping the year before. Because it just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger every single year.
It does, and that's something I wrestle with every year. Is you say, okay, is this as good as we did last year? And it, you've had most of the teams from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex in it that you want to have in it. So, then you start thinking about, well, do we have some for a second time? Do we do what we did last year? Do we go out of state and bring in, another team like Hoover? And so pretty excited this year. We've had Allen Cedar Hill several years back, but pretty excited to have those guys matched up again.
I do want to talk about the matchups, but I think that one of the important things to underline here about the Tom Landry Classic is that there is a big scholarship aspect to this. And in fact, you want to talk about something bigger than the games, and the games are huge, but what you guys do as far as scholarships is concerned is really impressive. Can you give us a bit of an overview of what you guys do?
Sure. And the scholarship part is the thing that has kept me doing this for 18 years, because initially it was just a 2-year deal, and I wanted to raise some scholarship money in Coach Landry's name and be done, and here we are at year 18. And so what we wanted to do starting out was offer scholarships to the game participants. So as long as you're a senior football player, band member, drill team, cheer, student manager, student trainer, mascot, you're eligible. And so all of the seniors in all those areas are eligible. We usually get between 150 and 200 scholarship applications that come in each January, February time period. And so we go through those and we pare them down to the best of the best, because they're all really good, or most all of them are really good. And we usually will offer anywhere from 16 to 22 scholarships.
It's amazing.
And so, we base it on, it doesn't matter how good a football player you are or how good a band member you are. We base it on your leadership ability, your community service, and your academics.
That's great. It's one of the cool parts, I think, of the entire process is that, look, I'm excited about Argyle Lovejoy, really excited.
Sure.
But that aspect of it, I think, really gives the Tom Landry Classic, call it staying power. It's something that I think is easy to root for. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think it's one of the things. There have been a lot of classics that have come and gone through the years. This has made us a little bit different, I think, and we've reached the $1 million mark, which my initial goal was to raise $10,000 in scholarships. So
well, you did it.
We did it. And so now, whenever we stop doing this, then I can sit back and say, we raised $1 million. We helped a lot of kids, and so
it's really it's the Tom Landry Classic, the 18th edition of the Tom Landry Classic, going on Allen Eagle Stadium. It will kick off Friday, September 1st. I guess you guys had to scrounge the bottom of the barrel to get Allen and Cedar Hill, right? I mean, it's tough goings this year. Talk about a heavyweight matchup, and the talent on the field there is just outrageous.
It's crazy. It's out of the 44 kids that will start in that game, or projected to start, 29 of them have college scholarship offers, and most of them multiple, but that's, I don't know that we've ever had a matchup that had any more than that, any more talent than that.
And what's interesting to me, there's a great coaching matchup going on here as well, is that you've got Terry Gamble entering his second year at Allen. And I know that he's got high expectations for his squad. Allen always has high expectations.
Sure.
And then you've got Carlos Lynn taking over at Cedar Hill. There's for all the talent on the field, and there's plenty of it. There's some great talent on the sidelines as well, and I think that's another thing that makes this game really special.
Absolutely. With Terry coming in last year, I think it's difficult anytime you take over a high school team that's had a lot of success, and you're talking about Allen and Cedar Hill. It's two of arguably the top 5-6 programs in the state, and so when you take over for a Tom Westerberg who had so much success with state championships, or you take over for a Joey McGuire, same deal. I mean, it's hard. I wouldn't want to be those guys, and the expectations in those communities are that it's not that you go 13-1 and you get to the third round of the playoffs. Those expectations in those communities are that you win the state championship. So I think on the one side you have a lot of talent that you get to coach, but on the other side, there's a lot of expectations with that talent. You better win.
That's exactly right. It's Kris Cumnock, the executive director of the Tom Landry Classic, joining us on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. And then you go home and you get 2 hours of sleep. And then you wake up and you're back at Allen Eagle Stadium. It's a 7 p.m. kickoff that night for Argyle and Lovejoy, two teams that are familiar with one another, and two teams that, they're going to hit. This is going to be,
Absolutely.
There's a lot. This is two physical teams, two teams that pride themselves on out-muscling each other.
Yes. And, you forget what a great game this was last year because with 3 minutes to go, Lovejoy had stopped Argyle and was going to force a punt, and they were down 3, I think, and 3 or 4, and they called Lovejoy for a defensive offsides, which they were not. That was not a good call, but anyway,
controversy a year later.
Yeah, so I mean but it was really a good game, and Argyle went on down after they got the automatic first down and scored, and it put the game out of reach. But it was a great game, and that was a really young Lovejoy team last year. There's 17 starters back, I believe, and gotten a couple of move-ins that are pretty special. And then Argyle's Argyle, and they've got a lot back, and then they've gotten like 4 move-ins that are really going to help them a lot too. So this could really, quietly be one of the best games in the state for weekend one.
And you talk about like Allen Eagle Stadium, obviously it's known for being one of the finest facilities in the state, and it's been a great home for the Landry Classic. I would say that it's not going to be a surprise when it's full for Allen Cedar Hill. I think people are going to be surprised how many people are going to come to this to Lovejoy and Argyle. That's a big game with 2 rabid fan bases, and I think that I think the ability of the neutral fan, right, to come out and just see a fantastic game, in the DFW Metroplex is really appealing, I think.
Yeah, and you're going to see. Well, your magazine. Dave Campbell's Texas Football has Argyle, Allen, and Cedar Hill all projected to the state championship game, I believe. And I think a lot of Metroplex fans may be sleeping on Lovejoy just a little bit. Just don't realize how much they have back and how close they were last year. They had Highland Park beat at Highlander. They had them beat. They outplayed them, had them beat. Couldn't finish the deal. They were young, but this really, there's a lot of talent there, and Argyle state championship expectations every year. Todd Ford's trying to build that into Lovejoy, and I think he's well on his way to doing that. So it's going to be a fun and entertaining game because both of those teams are going to be able to score. I
want to ask you about the process of finding these games and picking these games. You mentioned that you have brought in out-of-state teams before. Did you choose not to bring them in out of pity for the out-of-state teams? Because, they have to come in and just get beat by these Texas teams, and it's just, it's
right.
sad. It's
right.
sad, really,
it is sad.
in a lot of respects.
We're so good at football here in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So can you take us through a little bit of the process of how you come up with these matchups? Yeah,
you really start looking at teams 4 years out, so 2 cycles out, and start looking at, it sounds crazy, but they're 8th grade kids and they're freshman kids and talking to coaches and talking to opposing coaches because, most of the time coaches at the schools are going to tell you it's nothing but great things and they want to get in. So they're going to tell you that's the best freshman class I've ever had. And they're all going to say that. But you start talking to opposing coaches and really taking a look at the program and how successful you project it to be. Look at the fan base because – again, that's how you pay for these scholarships. You want the stadium to be full. And so there have been teams over the years with the team's good enough, the program's good enough, just they don't get a lot of fans to come out and watch the games. And so that's kind of That's made us overlook those teams and go on to somebody else. So, we've already got the matchup selected. In fact, for the next 2 years, that will get us to the magical 20-year mark. So we have Allen will play Arlington Martin, and which I think is going to be a really good one. And then Lancaster will play Poteet.
Oh wow!
So got
whoa, those are can we? I mean, look, these 2 games this year are great. Like, but like we talked about at the top, is that like you gotta, like, you're your own worst enemy, right? Because you got to one up yourselves. I'll tell you from where we're sitting, you may have already accomplished that for 2018 as well. Those are 2 really mega matchups as well.
Yeah, we're hoping. There's a lot of talent there. We had a couple opportunities to bring in out-of-state teams that really reached out to us and really wanted to come in, and just felt like, Hoover's a little special to me because it's kind of iconic.
Sure.
And they were fairly close. The 2 chances we had this year, one was from Utah and one was from Florida. It's just hard for me to project that fans will travel that far that early in the season for games.
Yeah.
And I knew with Hoover, I knew they wouldn't bring a tremendous amount of fans, although they brought more than I thought. But I knew the Metroplex just average fan would say, gosh, Hoover and Allen, I'm pretty interested in that. I'll come watch that. And they did. But I'm excited to have Arlington Martin. They've done such a great job with that program over there. And you look for teams, when you have somebody like Allen in it, you're looking for teams that aren't going to be scared to take the field and look down there and say, wow, that's Allen. I'm a little intimidated. They're not going to be. I mean, Arlington Martin's not going to be. Hoover wasn't. Cedar Hill won't be. So that's what you're trying to do, because it's hard. It's hard to go play Allen anywhere, but playing them in Eagle Stadium is really not fun. But Arlington Martin, they're excited about the opportunity.
They're not going to be scared.
No.
Bob Wager's not going to be scared.
No.
Trust me. As somebody who's, who knows Bob Wager,
right,
he won't be scared. It is the Tom Landry Classic. It is the 18th Tom Landry Classic, going on at Allen Eagle Stadium on September 1st and 2nd. Where can people find more information on this?
So you can go to tomlandryclassic.com, which you can get a lot of information off our website. You can follow us on Twitter, just at Landry_Classic. We have our Tom Landry Facebook page. We put a lot of information there. And in fact, you can go on our Tom Landry Facebook page, and we're doing matchups. So it'll be, I think, like today we'll be doing the linebacker matchups between Argyle and Lovejoy, and then the next one will be the secondary matchups with Allen and Cedar Hill. So you can kind of follow it back, and you get matchups throughout.
Interesting. And
give you a little bit more of a flavor of the game. And if you are one of those high school fans that's not affiliated with any of the 4 teams, you can read these and feel like you go to the game knowing a little bit more about who you're watching. So anyway,
it's going to be fantastic. September 1st and 2nd at Allen Eagle Stadium. Kris Cumnock, the executive director of the Tom Landry Classic. Kris, appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me in. You guys do a great job.